Hi guys, welcome to my video and my YouTube channel. Today we are only going to talk about one thing, the last ability for the undead glove, Bone Splinters. And then I'm going to show you a little bonus at the end of the video that I hope you will like. I like it, but we'll see about that. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee and some popcorn and let's begin. Remember guys, when I said in the last video that making new abilities is very easy to do now. Remember that? Well, while it is a lot easier than the system I had before, but the problem is that when I make a new ability, it needs to be implemented into a ton of other blueprints, and that is the problem. Like in the master ability launcher, which is the actor that actually fires off the fireball ability. It also is the actor that tells where the fireball will spawn. It gets the cooldown from the master ability actor. It gets the icons for the ability, like if the icon is unlocked, if it's not unlocked, if the cooldown is ready or not. I need to set all that too. I need to add the new ability into an array on the player character, so he knows which abilities that is available. I need to add all the information in a structure. I have ability structure where I set the damage and the critical hit chance and the amount and the level of the ability. All these informations I need for the ability, I need to put that into a structure. And then in a lot of other blueprints, like the menus, like I need to make a whole new menu for every new ability. And in this menu, I'm getting this structure, getting all the information. This is where I upgrade the ability when pressing a button, and the ability will gain a level. I need to get all that stuff from the structure and then upgrade it to gain a level, and then I need to save it to the structure again. So I'm getting the structure and I'm setting the structure a ton of places. There's just so many places I need to go through every time I make a new ability that it is kind of daunting and confusing to me. And sometimes if the ability doesn't work, then that means I have forgotten to add it to an array somewhere, or I forgot to set the cooldown so it's never ready, or something like that. So I'm kind of scratching my head, figuring out why it isn't working. And then I need to go through all the blueprints that is relevant for the abilities and implement it, duplicate code and implement it with the new ability. So making the ability itself is super fun, but implementing it is a nightmare. It is what it is. But let's talk about the exciting stuff, the Bone Splinters ability, the last ability in the undead skill tree. For now, right? Look at this awesome concept drawing I made of this ability. And I'm looking at this and thinking, how can this not be awesome? These are magic bone splinters that just fires off in a burst and hits the enemies right in the face. Each splinter can only hit one enemy, and then the splinter kind of disappears, and then the next splinter will take over and hit the enemy right in the face again. That's the whole idea. So the first thing I did when I created this was to make the splinters just fly in a straight line from the player character and straight ahead to the enemy. And that's it. They will spawn with a little offset, so they don't all spawn right in the same line of each other. So they will kind of be randomly offset. So it gives a little dynamic to the whole ability. The thing is that it became fairly monotone to look at after a little while, right? When we're just flying in a straight line, nothing really interesting was happening, and I thought it was kind of lacking some kind of visual flair. So flying in a straight line didn't really work for me. And after hours of trying to figure out how this projectile movement component works, right? I wanted to make the splinters go up a little, shoot a little upwards, and then have gravity drag them down, so they're kind of flying in a curve, right, like an arrow. I mean, how hard could it be? But it turns out I spent a shit ton of time figuring this out, because I could not rotate the actor on begin play, because the projectile movement is firing off instantly when the actor spawns, even before begin play. So no matter what I did, I couldn't affect the rotation of these splinters, how they came out. I also tried to do it in the construction script, like before it spawns, but for some reason I also could not make that work. So I ended up deleting the projectile movement component from the actor completely, and then I'm adding the projectile movement component on begin play, because then I can set the rotation. And again, I don't know why things like this has to be so confusing and complicated to work with. But anyways, guys, that's just how it usually is. Things are just super complicated for the simplest things to do. And so now comes the second problem with this. After hours of playing around with this component, I'm not sure if I like this new curvy trajectory, you know, path that the bone splinters are fly. Jesus fuck. Anyways, so right now the bone splinters are flying upwards, and then gravity is pulling them down, and it kind of makes all the bone splinters hit right at the top of the enemy's the character the enemy's hit, right? And that also kind of looks a little wonky, to be honest. So I'm not sure about this ability at all now. Now I'm starting to question if this was a good idea to begin with. Or do I just need better sound effects, better particles to you know, to polish everything up, and then all will be fine? I don't know. I need to test this out some more. Best case, I would have these splinters fly in a kind of a random curve, like if you could add some noise to the trajectory, right? So that the spike will fly kind of up and down and in and out, and weaving a little around, almost like Yondu's floating pin from the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So you can kind of give it some more life. Not sure how to do that. Maybe I'll just parent the bone splinter mesh to the projectile movement, and have the projectile movement rotate and then kind of offset the splinter mesh, right? So it kind of rotates randomly. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I will just talk about that if I get there. Again, with all other abilities, you can upgrade the damage on this bone splinter. You can also upgrade the amount, how many splinters will be sent flying when you fire off the ability. I think the maximum right now is 10. And it looks pretty cool. I've added a light to each bone splinter, and so you can see it kind of lights up the hallways when you're firing it off, and some awesome whooshing ghostly sound effects for when it spawns and when it hits enemies. So I mean, everything should be awesome, just like my concept drawing, right? The thing is, I'm just not feeling it right now, but I will come back to this ability later on, see if I can kind of fix the issues, which I'm not really sure what the issues is right now, but anyways. So the bonus thing I wanted to talk to you shortly about is this tentacle. Remember this old tentacle I made for the tentacle spider, so it can lay these tentacle things on the ground that kind of wobbles around and works as damage over time if you step into them. I have updated the model in Blender. I sculpted it and I decimated it, and now it looks absolutely fantastic. I gave it some materials and some colors, and I kind of gave the goo blobs around it different colors, like these two colors. Jesus, what am I talking about here? Alright, let's begin again. The goo and the tentacles will have a color theme, which is this purple thing and this pink thing. I'm colorblind, so God knows what colors these are, right? But these are the two main colors for this cosmic, everything cosmic, right? And I think it looks fantastic. I have done the same with this goo thing that has been spread out throughout the whole dungeon. I have added 2 materials instead of 1. I know, it's mind-blowing, I know. But again guys, this little update on this tentacle mesh, it just completely made my day, right? I think it was the best thing ever happening in this game. I mean, it looks fantastic, I love it. Guys, that is all I have for you this time. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.